Hey everybody, this is Dominic, DeAngelo of WrestleZone.com. Today's date is November 30th, 2020. This year is almost over, but I am happy to have with me here today none other than recent MLW debutee, Calvin Tankman. Calvin, thanks for joining us today, man.
Dude, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, dude. So, yeah, you were signed back in May of 2020, and obviously we've been kind of on a holding pattern with MLW until the restart just happened. So, now you've done some indie shows and stuff like that from GCW to other things and such, but how has it been just kind of like waiting and knowing that you've been signed by MLW and then finally now you made your debut this past week against Robert Martyr?
A lot of excitement because really for the first 2 months, from May, I'm not sure if it was exactly the beginning of May or if it was the end of April, but it was around that time period. From then until they announced it at the end of June, I couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
So I was super excited, but I had to wait for them to say something. So I was I can kind of tell my mom and my dad and some other small people, but I can't really tell anyone. So it's just oh well. And people would ask me about, oh, how's wrestling going? I know you didn't get this opportunity, but maybe you'll get another one soon. And I was like, oh, well, maybe.
Well, yeah,
So, yeah, that was really cool. And then, really, ever since we did the GCW show in Indy, the first one back, they announced it within, a couple days after that. So, really, it's just been, especially, once they finally announced it, and it was, everybody knew, and then people were kind of gearing up and kind of – because with that GCW show, that opened a lot of eyes to me, too, because that was my debut for them.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where, so I started working with GCW. That opened a bunch of eyes. And then, within, a day, Court announced me signing. So then there was even more of people trying to say, oh, I saw this, so I'm super excited to see what he's going to do here. So it really just, motivated me and got me excited to get to, be there, feel out, everyone else in the roster, get to know everyone else on the roster, and then get excited to really get to push myself against the top that really wrestling has to offer.
Right. And that's what's so cool about MLW. And I know we did an interview with you back in July, I believe, our editor Bill Pritchard did, and he talked about the hybrid style and you coming in with your own style. And we saw a good deal of that, even just in that short match you had as a debut. How has it, if you're coming from that aspect of things, how has it been just being in that environment? You talked about being in the backstage, being back and getting the lay of the land of some of your colleagues and stuff there. How has that been just going into MLW with the restart going on and just kind of experiencing that? What was your takeaways that you might not have expected when you were going there?
Fast pace.
Yeah.
As soon as we got there in the morning, it's work. We're getting it done, which I had no problem with. I feel at least for my first set of tapings and everything, I adjusted pretty well. So it was just really I didn't really have too many expectations. I came in ready to learn. You know what I mean? Ready to do whatever I was told, trying to do my best, but also knowing, hey, there's going to be mistakes. But when they tell you what's wrong, whatever have you, just like football, you got to work on it. You know what I mean? Tape studying, all that. So I knew there was work to be done, but I was excited to get to work and really get to learn and push myself in new ways.
Yeah. Now, did you kind of feel like a weight lifted off your shoulders in a certain regard, just getting that first match out of the way, or was it more so, God dang, I want to just do more and more here?
I guess, yeah. That would probably really my first match. It was kind of it wasn't nerves or anything like that, but because I still know what I'm doing. It's still wrestling. It's still something I've been doing for the last couple of years. But at the same time, it was still new to me. Kind of had to take it in a little bit, and then after that first one, I every match that I did, I felt more and more comfortable. So just really as that grows, I'm really excited to really get to show the world what I'm worth. Because you know what I mean? They just get a little snippet. There's one match, minute and a half,
Little taste. That's it.
Really excited to see when people start to see the full arsenal and some of the new stuff I'm bringing together and figuring out. Really excited to see what the reaction will be to those things.
I know, man. That's what's the neat thing about that too, and debuting just like that too, I think is really beneficial because like you just said, it's like a tease into what people can see more coming into the league and everything like that, and just a nice little teaser, and then we'll be getting some more of it. So in the last interview you did with us too, I went back and watched it, and Bill, my editor, asked who are you looking forward to competing against, and you mentioned Hammerstone and Fatu, and those are like that's who you think about too with MLW, and immediately too when I saw your debut match, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like I want to see him go up against Fatu like no tomorrow, you know what I mean? So when you got there, did you kind of you talked about meeting some colleagues and stuff like that. Were there other ones you're like, you know what, I'm going to add those guys to my short list? That's another one I would like to see like square up against and things like that.
Definitely. People that there's definitely, I can't say I don't want to lock horns with ACH, especially because I'm actually supposed to have a black label like 2 weeks ago and everything got canceled with COVID.
Yeah.
Leo is definitely another one because so when Leo was really coming into his own within his first year and he was getting a lot of opportunities, I was training at that time. I was just getting into business myself. Yeah. So I remember friend Leo Rush highlights and being like, yo, this dude's next. He's the man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's got to meet him on a few occasions and work together and at least get to know each other a little bit. Not necessarily it's not like we're best friends or anything. We've only been around each other a few times. But kind of just getting to talk and get to know him. Definitely really excited to test myself against someone like him because there's a size difference, but there's still a story to be told there. So definitely something I would look forward to. Man, there's so many talented guys. Definitely, I want to go against LA Park or Los Parks. I don't have a tag.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I grew up watching him too. It was WCW. So even just seeing him, I was like, what? This is wild.
Yeah.
You were on the first television broadcast I probably watched when I was 3 years old that made me want to do this. Here I am. Shoot. Even the younger guys like Gino Medina, that he's really good. Got to really sit down and talk to him. I really mess with him. He's a really good dude. And then watching him work, man, he's something special.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's not too many guys. I mean, there's even guys that they have a chance of bringing in that has from other like AAA. If I could get a match with Black Taurus, I'd be super happy. That's another one that I've seen. One of the guys that I learned a lot of my lucha stuff from literally just sent me a bunch of Black Taurus and was like, "Word, this guy's amazing." So he's another one that I really want to get in the ring with. So, and with the affiliation with AAA, that's definitely a possibility now.
Absolutely, dude.
That's what I'm saying. There's I've been wrestling for not as long as a lot of guys. I've been wrestling for 5 years, and in my 5 years, I've been lucky enough to step in the ring with a lot of people. Even at the time that I shouldn't have been necessarily been in the ring with. It was a year and some months in and wrestling Billy Gunn. He way above what I should have been wrestling at that time. But getting to learn from those guys and getting to wrestle some of those guys now, it's I'm getting a point to being able to wrestle more of those guys that I can learn from and kind of soak up game from as I'm working with them. And that's really what I want to do is be able to expand myself because iron sharpens iron. So I can't get better unless I'm working the best. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And to your point too, where it's you're wrestling veterans like a Billy Gunn, or you're going up against somebody like a Black Taurus. It's a completely different style and something that you got to make adjustments to and kind of accommodate, or they got to accommodate to you or whatever it may be. And then, but just getting all that, you look at somebody like a Chris Jericho or somebody that's traveled around and adapted all these different styles and made their own unique self out of it. it's really important, I think. And like a lot of times, like a wrestler will get stuck with a promotion and just learn one certain style or something like that and kind of get into a certain rhythm. But the neat thing about MLW is like all the, you got Triple H connection, you got international connections. That was teased a little bit earlier today, I think it was. And then just a lot of different stuff coming into play. And talk about that too. Is there a certain, like you mentioned working with Billy Gunn or somebody like that, but is there another like veteran talent that's really has been a big influence on you? Whether it's I know in the last interview too, I'm a huge Goldberg fan, so you mentioned Goldberg was one of your big influences starting off. Is there a couple of those talents too that really stick to you that were like, man, I learned a lot from this guy, whether working with him or just watching like previous tapes or whatever it may be?
Watching a lot of like, I felt like my like, if we're talking about stuff I watched, if we're going back to like when I really like, when gears really started turning with wrestling and I really felt like I was starting to put it together, it just came from like studying like 90s and early 2000s, like or really just 90s, early 2000s All Japan, and like Kobashi and Masawa and all these Vader, and even watching like Hansen and, you know what I mean, Gordy and all these dudes that like just the brutality there and the story they told without having, like, I don't know, like something as little as like fighting for a lockup or just fighting for a hold that nobody even hits, that'll take 5 minutes. That is like, it's just beautiful the way they tell the story and they make everything mean something. And I don't know, like that stuff, like that's what really gets me. So like really just getting turned on that, watching that. Guys I've worked with that just, man, I feel like there's so many, it's hard to like.
Right? You know, I could only imagine.
It's like, if we go from the beginning, really like one of the first people that like, that had done anything that was like there, like that people would probably know is Congo Kong. So like right around the time that I was training, that was when he was starting to do his stuff with Impact, and he'd still been all over the place and done all the stuff on the indies for 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
So really like he was there, I'm pretty sure, in my first training set, if not within my first like 3 training sessions. The person that trained me was like his best friend, and he lived a couple hours north. So every once in a while, pop in and help me out. So definitely him. I mean, Larry D's another one, because when I first started IWA Mid-South, he was the other one that like taught me how to be that big man, how to carry that presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we have, I mean, if we go even farther, shoot, there's so many people that like I learned from, not even just from working with, but from like going to shows and help. Because like, okay, Mance Warner is somebody that like we started out with the IWA, and like if he was booked on the show, or even if he wasn't booked on the show, he was going to help out. I was going in the car to help set up, to try and get an opportunity, like 5 hours to AIW in Cleveland, or, you know what I mean? Went to NGI for GCW and just cleaned up glass all the rounds, like doing all that stuff. So like just sitting there and getting to listen to how like Eddie Kingston calls a match with Mance, or listening to a story that like Eddie or somebody else told Mance, or we're getting in the car and Mance is like, so this happened, I was thinking this way. And then Eddie or Jonathan Gresham or this person came up to me and talked to me and had me think about it in a whole nother way. And so like I'm picking up those gems from him, from guys that indirectly, but it's still helping me in what I'm doing. So like, and then just getting like, even if I wasn't on the show, just getting to watch like those great guys and how they do their craft. And like, especially like once you're trained and stuff, you start watching things in a different way. So like, that's really, especially like, I've said a lot about Eddie Kingston in the last couple minutes, but he's another one, because like, you know, I was just talking about All Japan and all those guys, and that's where he draws a lot of his inspiration.
Wheelhouse, man. Yeah.
Like really getting to watch him is something that like, okay, yeah, I'm getting it now. Like that, like Samoa Joe's the same way. I've watched a ton of Samoa Joe, and then like, because like here's the thing with me. So like wrestling fandom, I knew Samoa Joe from TNA Samoa Joe. I didn't know Honor Samoa Joe because when did he come to TNA? Like 2005, 2006?
Something
like
to that effect. I think I want to say 2006, maybe 2007, but I'm not. It's around those 2 years.
Yeah, so I was 12. So like I wasn't buying Ring of Honor DVDs, and it wasn't on TV at the time, so I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I'd see it in PWI, and I'd read the names, but in like some of the pictures, I'd see like pictures of him and Danielson or him and Punk or whatever. When I was a kid, I didn't know what that was. I just thought it was weird because they didn't have turnbuckles and they had the long pack.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? What kind of wrestling is this?
Yeah.
And then so when like he burst on the scene in TNA, I was just like, whoa, like this guy's like something. And so like then when I really got into wrestling, and like I got into Ring of Honor later, but I didn't start watching Ring of Honor until they were on HDNet like 2010.
Yeah.
So I caught like the tail end of like Steen and Generico and like the Kings of Wrestling and all those guys. And then like when I started trading, then people started sending me stuff of Samoa Joe and Ring of Honor. And then I was like, oh, okay, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I like vividly remember somebody sent me a link. This is Ring of Honor, but a link of the YouTube clip of at the full match. It's Samoa Joe and Necro Butcher, and they just beat the crap out of each other for 20 minutes. And I feel like Necro Butcher split his skull open like 3 different ways in that match. And was bleeding everywhere. And I don't know. But like even that, like that's funny. That match is funny to me because it's one of my favorite things to like show like people that like don't watch
it.
style of wrestling just to see how they react to it.
Yeah, right.
It's not necessarily a death match either. Like they're not sticking forks in each other's forehead.
No.
They're just punching each other really hard and you know what I mean, throwing each other around and slipping in beer and splitting each other's heads. So it's like I don't know. That's just like that match will always stick with me. But yeah, like just watching like the same thing with Joe, it's like that presence. Like it's the same thing with why I was drawn to Taz.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I like that. Like I don't know. There's so many different reasons why I watch different wrestlers, and like Taz is the same way. It's like that like I don't know. Same thing. It's like that aura, like that Mike Tyson or that Kimbo Slice aura. Like when they're coming to the ring, when they're in the ring, they're deadlocked on you, and you know that if they make contact with you, you just might die.
Right.
Like that. Yeah, that's what I'm chasing after. That's what I'm trying to get to. So.
Dude, and like to your point, like Taz exuded that too. You saw him walk out, and like I remember, even just going back and watching clips, or even that there's that GIF that's floating around on Twitter and stuff where the chair gets thrown at him and he's like talking shit and he's like flipping the guy off. It's like he's got Bam Bam in a headlock, I think it is, and somebody throws a chair at him and he's still talking crap. You're like, dude, that's what you got. Yeah, that's what you want to get across in storytelling and everything like that. It's
exactly.
Like, yeah.
I consider talking about that all day.
I know, right? Me too. I'm the same way. But I think what's really cool about you, though, is like you talk. A big takeaway is like storytelling. You keep bringing up storytelling, and I think so much of that gets lost in a lot of the matches that get put across on today's product and everything like that. But like it's such a. I just watched a match that Ricky Starks posted about Wild Bull Curry and Johnny Valentine. And like it was to your point about like they did like Johnny Valentine had Bull Curry in a front chancery for like 5 minutes, but like the crowd was into it, like made you into it, and like they were just doing headlocks, and then they would just start hitting each other like crazy. But I guess my question is for you, what has been the most satisfying story you've kind of told in the ring so far at this point, do you think?
Most satisfying?
Yeah, where you say you finished up the match and you're like, man, that got across. I conveyed what I wanted in there. We worked it. Me and my opponent worked it together, and the crowd it had the reaction that you wanted and everything like that. Is there a certain one that stands out to you in that regard?
That's a really good question.
Thanks.
There's one that like comes off the top of my head, but that's just because it was like recent, and I don't want to say that something else later. But since it's off the top of my head, I'll say it was Cole Radrick and me at Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F.
Okay.
You watched that show with the collective, and the story really was like Cole cut a promo on Twitter, said something really stupid, and he said he was going to knock me the fuck out. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
And
I swear all the time on here.
I didn't cut a promo back. I literally messaged him and I said, listen, you know what I'm capable of. So this is your fault because, like, when you get hurt. So if you watch the match, the beginning of it, he's sticking and moving and catching me and some other stuff. And then he gets some of his stuff in, he gets close, but then, like, every time that he starts to get up, I start to beat him down a little bit. And then we get to the point where he's almost got me with a couple things. And he runs in, and I popped him up and hit him with my spinning back elbow, and he just dropped and was out, and he couldn't get to his feet. So then I was talking trash to him, and I was like I sold for a minute because I was hurt when I caught him. It was kind of a out of desperation type of gimmick. And then he was kind of just couldn't get to his feet because he was out. I hit him too big. But even then, he was still trying to fight, and he slapped me in the face. And that's when I pulled him down and hit him with the back elbow to the back of the head for the finish. So it was like, even then, when he couldn't get up, I was like, I'm not trying to kill you. Like, come on, what are we going to do? And with his last fight, he still smacked the crap out of me. So it's like, all right, I got to kill you.
Yep. So, that's awesome, man. No.
The one with Eric Stevens of Black Label. A lot of people really like that one. And really like Eric's the real one. Like, he's gone, but Eric's a really good dude. Like, that whole spot, I don't even know if I'd have it if it wasn't for Eric saying this is my show and I want to wrestle Calvin in the main event.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that, like, within the last year, when he really saw me from helping out in Cleveland and some other places, like, he's been heavy in my corner telling people, hey, he's good. And now that people are, like, starting to pay attention, he's kind of like, I told you so. Like, you know what I mean? I'll definitely always be grateful for the things he's done for me and a lot of other people too. But that one definitely sticks out because we probably went like 25 minutes, had a really good match. And, so one of those two.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, just knowing that you're working with somebody that you enjoy and respect too, I think that only, I'm sure, can really help the storytelling in a lot of ways. I bet, just having that kind of connection, and so much. So, something I thought was really cool too that you did during the debut was right after you cut a brief promo, and then you talked about like how you're gunning for, like, you're gonna plow through everybody, but then you like dedicated the match to your family and stuff like that. And you talked about like being a dad too with me here. Talk about what that's like, and being a father, and not only that, but like I spoke with Colby Carina, who's a new dad, and he said how much this being a dad elevated him it got him more driven to even be a pro wrestler and to like further this. Do you have that sense of you too being a father and like knowing that in the back of your mind?
Definitely, especially because it's a little bit different for me because like Colby's like a new dad.
Yeah.
Like I had my daughter. I was 19 years old.
Really?
So yeah, my daughter is 6 years old. She'll be 7 in May.
Wow, how about that? I bet it flew by too.
Yeah, I'm 25, but I feel like an old man.
Right, so, I bet it wears you out.
Yeah, so like, I really had to like grow up fast, and I didn't know what I was gonna do yet. And like, it's kind of crazy because like I've told this story before. Like, wrestling was the first thing I wanted to do, and everybody kind of talked me out of it when I was a kid and said that like, it's unrealistic. How do you even become a wrestler? Like, the chances of you becoming a wrestler are ridiculously slim. So when I finally talked myself into it and had like an opportunity to do it, and then like really when I started, I went to my first training session. They said, pay for your first one and see if you can handle it. And if you can handle it, then when we think you can do it, then we'll keep training you. So really, I really want to do this. Let me see if I have what it takes to do it. And then like things kind of started like I felt like I picked things up kind of quickly. Especially from like football and things like that. So then I was like, okay, I really got to get the ball moving. But then like, it took me about a year to really like figure out how to get out and to push myself and to really start doing it. And then once it started happening and other people started seeing stuff in me and were like, hey, you got to keep doing this. That's when it really clicked that like, I don't know, like it was never, at the time I had a job and I was taking care of my daughter. So like, it wasn't necessarily like, I got to do this and this is my only means, but it's one of those things where it's like, I have a chance, a possibility, because I have this talent that God blessed me with, to make more money for my daughter than I would have been able to working a normal job.
Right.
And be able to and there's something to be said to be able to do that and have financial stability for you and your family while doing something you love rather than something you hate for the next 25 years.
Right.
So
right.
I felt like that, and I wanted to be able to be something and do something and show her that no matter how difficult it is, that you can do something. And it just because other people are okay with getting in high school and working at a factory for the next 30 years, and yes, you can take vacations every once in a while, once a year, and yes, you'll be able to buy your kids Christmas, but will you really be happy? Are you going to wake up every morning and that's really what you want to do, or are you just doing it because you have to? So it's one of those things where I felt this is my last opportunity to do something to provide for her in ways that I never could, and still do what I love. So yeah, and especially now that I feel myself being on the cusp of those things, it's I gotta keep going. I gotta keep at it, because I spent so much time away from my daughter. Wrestling's kind of slowed down, so I've been around more, but it's just I still work full-time hours in 3 days, and then I'm on the road on the weekends. And then my daughter doesn't live with me because me and her mom are split up. So it's one of those things where I'm trying to do all these million things at once, and sometimes it cuts down a little bit of time I have on the time that I have with her. And so it's I can't justify going out here and killing myself and not being able to take care of her. If I'm going to go out and not be around her and miss these things, there's got to be something coming back from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now I'm getting to that point where it's all right, it's go time. I've done this for 5 years. I've taken a lot of time away, done everything I can, but now it's time to really start hunting in and making sure that I can be there for her and do the things that I need to do. Because where everybody else, they're my age, and like you said, he just had a new kid, but I'm 25 and I'm thinking about my daughter's 6 in 10 years. I'm gonna have to buy her a car.
How crazy is that? Yeah, that's gotta be wild, man.
Yeah. So it's I'm thinking about her car and college and stuff like that. So.
Who now? Does she watch wrestling here and there? Is she pretty in tune with it?
Not a lot. She likes to wrestle me, but she doesn't like to sit down. If she watches wrestling, she'll either start reenacting moves or start hitting me.
Yeah.
So she doesn't like to stand still to watch it.
Yeah.
She'll watch it when I'm on there, but that's about it.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good way to start, though. You already got her favorite wrestler already, then. So.
That and she really likes Sasha Banks because she's a huge. She likes Descendants, which is
okay.
It's like a Disney Channel show about all the villains and prince and princesses from the Disney shows.
Oh, okay.
It's their descendants at this little high school thing or whatever. She loves it, and Mao had purple hair. It's Maleficent's daughter, and she watched WrestleMania. I think it was the Triple Threat with Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky. And Sasha had.
Yes.
I think Sasha had purplish hair, Mal did, and she was "Oh my God, she's got hair like Mal," and that was her favorite.
Yeah, it's weird how kids I remember making those connections too, and be yeah, I like that person because it reminds me of that. Yeah. It's great, man. No, it's got to be super rewarding too, just in general, to be able to do what you love doing, and being able to convey that to her, even if she's 6 at this point, but at some point too, you'll be able to be listen, if you have something you want to aspire to, you can do it too. It's setting a cool example, and it's got to be pretty rewarding for you to be able to do that too. So
yeah, definitely. I'm lucky enough that my parents are kind of the same way. My mom literally used to tell me the same time in sports and stuff and anything I wanted to do. I was always a bigger kid. She was just kind of don't let people tell you can't do something because of your size.
Yeah.
Go off. But if you're athletic enough to do it, or if you think you can do it and you can't, then bust your butt till you can, because you know what I mean? And so kind of how I lived my whole life, now it's leaked into wrestling. And so if I can be that type of influence to my daughter and let her know and give her the reassurance so that she goes out there and chases her dreams and is successful. But that's my job is done.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's the name of the game right there. Hey, we'll close it out with this. So I usually do what I started doing. It's mostly MLW heavy, but because that's the most interviews I've been doing. So I having each wrestler at the end of each show, I have them give me three songs that they like to work out to. Now it can be of all time, like your all-time three, or like maybe you can mix it up and put like one in there that you currently jam into while you're working out, or like just, any three that really get you going when you're working out and everything. Because I'm going to create a playlist. So I've cultivated probably about like 4 at this point or so. So let's add yours to the list.
Okay. So first one, it's got to be, this is something I've worked out to since high school, Ambition by Wale.
Okay, nice.
That one's really good. Workout songs. Sometimes I just, I don't even have a playlist. I'll just put it on shuffle, and if I don't like it, I'll skip to the next one.
Yeah, right?
So, we'll go with, Oh Let's Do It by Waka Flocka Flame, or the Lil Wayne version. One of those two.
Okay.
Shout out to Rich Homie Juice, AJ Gray, but that's another one that, like, anytime you hear it, you just gotta get.
Heck yeah, man.
And then we'll go with Legend by Benny the Butcher.
Okay.
That's another really good one. I've been putting that in my headphones, working out in the last couple of weeks.
Nice, man. Nice. So I'm getting quite the eclectic mix. Tom Waller, he put Mulan's theme, the I'm Gonna Make a Man Out of You.
Oh my Lord.
He gave me 2 other ones. Oh my God, I wish I could remember them, because I'm like, oh man, this is gonna really screw everything up.
But the worst part is, I could totally see Tom, like, if you pulled out his headphone and put it in your ear, like, hey, what do you listen to? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Mance. I talked to Mance, and he did 3 ECW themes. He did New Jack, he did Sandman, and then he did. Oh, what was the last one? Shoot, I can't remember the last one, but he had New Jack and Sandman on there, so he went all ECW, man.
That doesn't surprise me. You go over to Mance's house, and he's got, like, I think it's the Flair and Vader poster from an old WCW pay-per-view blasted up on his wall.
Yeah.
We go to shows, and in his head, he'll like write down. He's like, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, fantasy book in WCW. Like, on a notepad.
Yeah.
And then going up to Jake Chris and like, hey, Jake, what do you think about this? Like, always talking about old school wrestling. I love him to death.
You can't beat it, man. That's the way to do it. And you know what? Like, I always love it too when the guys, like, newer talent and everything, they like go back, like, and they pull from like old, like, classic wrestling, whether it's our era, like, because I grew up WCW kid too, so it's like. Yeah. Like, I was all invested in stuff like that. But even going back even further and, like, being like, wow, like catching up, like, at my age now with, like, guys like Nick Bockwinkel, that match I just talked to you about with, like, Johnny Valentine and stuff like that. I'm like, holy shit, these guys, it's like, you can pull from so much and, like, tell your own story in a lot of different ways.
There was a video I saw with a 2-minute clip of Jerry Lawler and Ric Flair from, like, 2006.
Yes.
And I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, this is boring. But, like, now I watch it, and I'm like, this is genius.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I just watched it. I just literally watched the clip, like, for 2 minutes, or, like, 2 or 3 times, and I was just like, this is so good. This
man.
So good.
Oh, my gosh. I know exactly that, because it's been going around Twitter right now, the one that's been, like, they lock up and all that stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's just genius.
You can't beat it.
I only hope to be a master like that one day.
I know, right? You'll get there. Just keep plugging away, brother. Well, cool. Anything else you want to plug, like Twitter, anything like that?
Twitter and Instagram, @CalvinTankman, Facebook.com/CalvinTankman1. Go get some T-shirts. They got hoodies right now, doublehell.com. Go get you that fresh, the Biggie Smalls one. People really like that one. Got some other really cool designs on there. Double help, the coolest help. I'm gonna be having some face masks coming out from Luchaware, so be on the lookout for that. And really, shows are starting to like slow down. I got a show in Tennessee that I cannot think of the promotion off the top of my head. December 12th. I'm supposed to be facing Mr. Grimm.
All right.
And I don't have anything until New Year's Eve / New Year's Day, if that's still standing with GCW. So that's all I have until 2012, as far as I know. So
yeah, who knows what life will bring here, you know?
Yeah.
Right? And then, yeah, heck, you know, as always, too, check out MLW. And they're on Fubo, and then DAZN, or DAZN, and then I always mispronounce that one. And then on YouTube, too. So it's, yeah, dude, it was great to see your debut, and you're gonna carve your path, brother. It's gonna be great.
Thank you.
So, all right, this is Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com, and then go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.